Greetings, students. Today is 12/29/25 at the time of this recording. And today, well, this is a little bonus lesson for you, so make sure you subscribe and check the bell for more of them. We're going to go over what I would call the essential songs for the bass. Each one teaches us new lessons we can incorporate into our own playing, and you'll find many other musicians already have. If you're not over the age of 40, these songs you might actually know and want to play. Oftentimes in teaching, I find the hardest part is finding music that you actually want to learn, not just what our greasy ponytailed guitar teacher tabs out for us. So stay tuned, because we're actually going to explain what those takeaways are, instead of just saying to learn this and do as I say. Here are the songs that I grew up on that actually made me want to pick up the instrument, and don't worry, we'll get to Tool in the next one. But first, the Gorillaz. If you take a look at the screen, well, I know you already are. Come As You Are by Nirvana is the second one. Let me go back over. So, Feel Good Inc. by the Gorillaz. This one? It's just an easy groove. Plus, it's the closest thing to hip-hop we'll get. Most of this genre and genre-adjacent bass lines are deceptively easy, i.e. just not only root notes, and, well, you'd be surprised that, that's all it takes to wow the listener. But you need these types of songs to help work on the groove or our sense of time. Your notes must always be lining up with the metronome, or in this case, the drummer. No one is perfect, even the greats. I'm a jazzer, as you all know. If you listen to Bird play his solo break over Night in Tunisia, you will find that may not have been subdividing, we'll put it like that. And if even the greats can mess up like that, well, it just means all you gotta be doing is paying attention. Listen to each other, and you can kind of, well, see when the other guy's gonna hit his ride cymbal, or see when he's gonna put the horn in his mouth. But, again, it's all about the groove with this one, and, well, lining up with the drummer. Oh yeah, and this one teaches you the minor scale. Take a look at that. 0, 0, 2, 3, 3, 2. Do, re, mi, la, sol. If you know your chromatic solfege syllables, some of you might like fixed do, some of you might not know it at all. But if you can't sing it, how can you play it? You should at least be able to sing the rhythm, because you might not even be able to read the rhythm, but you got ears. If that's what it sounds like, that's what you should play. Not that hard. I'll have an exercise and a playthrough for all of these songs after this video. Because, well, I could get copyright striked on this, and there's a lot of useful information. I kind of want to make money off it. So, again, this is our minor scale, O, 2, 3, and then if you go to the next string, O, 2, 3 again, and then on the D string there should be an extra O and then a 2. That's the 7th, and then the octave meaning 8, because there's 8 notes in a scale. Again, not that hard. Everyone should know music theory. And this is a drop tune, but we'll come back to that. I typically do like taking this one up the octave. That just means everything goes up 12 frets, or I like to put it on the A string so it's kind of in between. More on that later. Follow the playthrough for this one, but just know this is all about the minor scale. And there is a greasy slide at the end, if we take a look at that guy right there. So again, it'll help you practice your greasy slides. It's a great song. Let's move on to the next one, though. I would definitely get copyright stricken if I played this one, but again, Come As You Are is one of those bass lines everyone should know. But guess what? It builds off the previous one, because this one also just uses our minor scale. Though it starts with a nice chromatic walk up, later one might start with a little chromatic walk down, but again, they're all stealing each other's homework. Regurgitate, gets you the same paycheck. Minor scale, and we're going te, ti, do. Normally in the minor scale, it's te, do, or I may have just sang the wrong one, but again, it's all about the syllables, because I never did too great on my sight singing, but still got the grade. We are walking up from the 7 to the 8 to the 9 in terms of our frets. That's also why we call it a walk up, and it's also having, or rather, we're including the accidental if you're taking a look at the sheet music. That just also means it's coming outside the scale. It's the chromaticism, again, the color that makes it key or cool. Some people may argue that the 8th fret right there, or the D sharp, is coming from the harmonic or the melodic minor scale, but you could also argue that's coming from the chromatic scale. And also, if you just kind of use your ears, you think Kurt knew that? No. It's all about just having that color, that sound. Heck, we could even say it's from the blues scale if we're justifying it from a specific position/mode, but again, plenty of different ways to slice a duck. after, well, all that jazzy walk-up nonsense, well, the chorus bass line just stick to root notes. That's the part after this. If I scroll down, they call it the bridge. But notice it's just 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 5, 5, 5, 5, or E to G. And guess what the guitarist is playing? He's just playing a power chord, which is just a couple extra fingers with that exact same note. E, 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 E to G, 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 G. But again, you'll know those power chords soon yourself. We'll even get to fifths later. But then it's right back to business. Notice the balance. We have something exciting and then something functional. You don't want to scare the listener too much, unless you're Jaco Pastorius. But again, more on that later. If you just take a look at the entire song, though, pretty classic. Verse, chorus, solo, bridge, or key change, as we say in the biz. That's what it says in the script. And then chorus, and then an outro. If you've ever bought a piece of music from an FYE or any reputable licensed retailer, the record industry signed off on this formula because they know that's what makes it money. I feel like I've seen 20 different interviews with artists, or at least rock and roll ones. They've all come to the same formulaic conclusion. This is interesting, has the most parts, and sounds cool. Though it's punk rock that says screw all of that and just goes verse, chorus, out. Maybe you double that. But again, try to keep it under 130. Move on to the next record. So, let me say that one more time. Intro, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, outro. We can throw in a solo before the bridge, or just replace the bridge with the word solo. Doesn't really matter. But again, if you listen to the actual sound of Nirvana, that's a lot of parts, or rather a lot of different parts in the song, but there's really just guitar, bass, and drums. It's a trio. They kind of knew that they didn't need all the fluff from the 70s and 80s. 60s cats knew how to compose, but then they made their money, got out of there, left it to the Nepo babies. That's why 70s and 80s music sucks. But then we get to the 90s and it's cool again. So again, Kurt Cobain knew what he wanted to hear, so that's what he wrote. It's popular music with a little jazz ride cymbal, walk the dog, but 0012, if you catch my metaphor. Again, who'd have thought Nirvana was jazz? Leave a comment down below if you really disagree. But again, I'm just trying to get more views. After our little formula, though, well, again, as I said, just keep it simple. Just follow that formula, and you don't need 20 keys, string section, or even 20 different guitars. Though they did record a couple different amps, but that's just to make it sound beefier, because, well, it's all about that power. One of the main takeaways, though, what made Nirvana sound like Nirvana was also the technology at the time. I'm sure plenty of people are familiar with the Boss DS1 pedal. I should have grabbed it from the basement, but I have an Analog Man modded one. That's a good way to get a little bit more money out of your investments, especially because they don't really sound that great anyways. But again, Kurt had other tools too, but it is that sound that kind of makes Nirvana unique, distinct. So I believe what I'm getting at is, whether it's a $2 set of brushes from the dollar store or a $99 DS1 pedal, just try to paint that picture in your head, and it's those limitations that actually define us and create our style/sound. Do you think Kurt would have sounded the same if he was born in the 1920s and played an archtop jazz guitar? Would he have written the same songs? Not at all. I guess you can say we're all just a product of the times. Embrace it. On to number 3. Definitely a product of the times, though this is definitely the best Green Day record, because arguably they probably wrote most of the songs on it before it was all ghost-written and Grammy-nominated. Though no Grammys for the last couple ones, that's for sure. And, if we walked up the last song, we're gonna walk down this one. If you're looking at my cursor, 9, 18, 17, 6, 5, 14, 13, 0. That's really nothing special or sophisticated. In fact, you don't even have to worry about what fret you're starting on. If you actually listen to the song, again, not going to get copyright stricken on this one. Oh boy, Zoom does not like the P bass. But hey, it's kind of funny. Watch as I slide my ghost hand, because that's really all you're doing. It's about the movement back. You kind of heard that doodle-doodle-doodle-doodle-doo, and that's the sound. Though you probably want to put it through an actual amp simulator at the very least. And, well, probably, he used to pick, maybe not a Jazz 3 Eric Johnson, but that's what I like on guitar. And we're gonna walk down greasily into the actual bass line. They wrote it out in 6/8, but it's actually in 4/4. It's just swung. Most people, they don't really play jazz, so asking them to swing their quarter note, make the first one longer and the second one shorter, give it some bounce, some accent on 2 and 4, that's a lot to ask for some cats. But again, that's why I like Louis Armstrong, Red Roses too. I'm not gonna try that impression, but you know it too. And 7 to 9, 7, 6, 5, that's going to outline a specific scale. I have a little bit later on, we're going to learn the dominant scale. That's like the major, just with the flat 7. So if you can do that theory in your head, technically I just taught you the major scale too. But check it out, double stops. What's a double stop? Not just 2 notes together. And it can be any 2 notes. Don't let it scare you. If it sounds cool, it is cool, and you should put it in your song. So again, dwee-dee-dee-dee, very singing, but then it's ba-doo. It's all about that flavor, that feel, and that sound. It's cool. Again, how did Mike Dirnt write that? Oh, he was listening to the radio. Plenty of interviews I've seen, because I was a Green Day kid growing up, as I know probably a lot of you are, and still might be, because, hey, no shame in that. I just like the first couple ones. Main thing, he was listening to everything. It was a radio world back then, and the radio played it all. From Motown to reggae to Afro-Cuban to the punk rock, and I bet they like the punk rock the most. Though I don't think they like that, Charlie... I doubt they listened to London Calling, I'll be honest. Oh, no, they did! It's just when they tried to get more like London Calling, notice, that's why Warning has the black and white and the green. It's trying to make you think of London Calling, because they're actually getting more experimental with the saxophone. They hear saxophone in punk. There's a lot of other influences in punk, it's just most people don't listen and do their homework anymore because it's old. But again, getting ahead of myself. Let's keep on scrolling down. Oh yeah, I talk about the greasy slide, and argue in the comments below. I do think this is probably the most well-known walking bass line of all time, because everyone who actually listened to jazz is probably dead and couldn't tell you anything. So again, no point in asking them what they can sing. But I guarantee your dad probably grew up listening to this record and can go ba-doo boo 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 ba-doo boo 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 ba-doo doo doo zibbidoo man man man, because it's almost like a cartoon of a bass line. It's like a caricature of the genre that it's making fun of, and that's the idea of dookie. It's funny. It's making fun of stuff because that's punk rock. But again, art is lost on a lot of people. So, before I take 20 years to go through this top 10 list, let's check again if there's anything I'm missing out. Dare I say, Mike Dirnt might even be one of my musical influences. I'll throw in that little funny video. I may have even already thrown it up in editing. But again, no shame. We like what we like. I'll fully admit it. So again, after that, well, I'll just say that's why I went to college and got a jazz studies degree. I should actually put that behind me. But anyways, if the previous song, Come As You Are, was a masterclass in formulaic songwriting, verse, chorus, I would just say this one is a great masterclass in writing a bass line. I talked a lot about the intro, the double stops, but then just notice how it keeps it simple to the chorus. There's a little bit of a 70707 505 707. Guess what the guitar is doing? I know you have ears. It's doing the same thing. So again, this is what I mean by functional. Oftentimes playing the bass, we're just playing the bass of the guitar. What do we actually mean when we're saying we're playing the bass? Well, you're playing the line that's written. It doesn't come from thin air. I mean, you can write your own counter melody to it, and ideally that's what you should be. However, that's not what the audience likes, and I would argue that that's not what sounds best. The bass is a very functional instrument, and I do think it does sound best when kept simple, stupid. So, again, he's keeping it simple, stupid here. But after that, oh man, he finally adds a fill. If I'm not mistaken, I don't feel like taking the time to look real close. Zoobadadoo. Or rather, he'll do that in the next one. But again, verse, chorus, bridge. They do an extra verse because it's a long song, but I do think it's nice. It helps drill home the thematic themes. If Billy did write this one, oh man, it actually is a good one. So I don't know if they got a Grammy for this, but hey, they probably should have. And then it's just the same old thing now. I'm tired about talking, or rather, I am tired about talking about this one, so let's just move on. If we take a look at number 4, oh boy, time to slap. You're gonna need to learn how to do it sometime, and no time like the present. You just want to get as many hours rotating that thumb as you can, and that's why I got the camera, because I want to do this. I want you to learn how to slap with me by just, well, I'm trying to make sure the camera angle is right. Do not crank your wrist like that. Always keep it in line so you don't get carpal tunnel. And well, notice, give yourself a thumbs up, but make sure it's nice and sturdy. You want to make sure this hand position is concrete because, well, you want this to be like a rock. So when you slam that rock into your base, it makes a nice loud slap. You know Isaac Newton's laws of physics. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, so if you're gonna baby your slap, well, you're not gonna get any volume. But if you slap that bass, or rather slap that bass, as another YouTuber might say, it's gonna sound out, or rather, it's gonna sound nice and loud, clean, crispy, clear. But again, as I have in the script, you'll notice the sweet spot. I'll get better with the camera. It's going to be right here, right underneath the nail, kind of about at the middle knuckle, that fleshy bit that sticks out. And, well, I always like to say it's a wrist motion. Adjusting the camera, well, take your thumbs up, and then just slam it into the base. Rotate it, almost like you're grabbing one of those doorknobs that kind of goes inwards like that down. And, well, again, just give it a good 45 degrees. And in fact, that's about what it should be. This is also using our minor scale. It is putting the fourth note, though, on the E string, so he can just keep sliding up what we call an interval. So that is one of the takeaways from this one. This is one of our first interval. An interval is just a fancy way of describing the distance between notes. And the first one we have is called an octave. It is the formula or the interval of funk. Every funk bass line ever, if you want to funk it to the max, you play octaves. And you slap it. That's it. There's your Grammy. It's just, well, no one's paying money for music anymore. Sorry. So, slap, slap, pop, thumb, thumb, and the pop. Just extend your pointer finger. You'll want to make sure, a lot of teachers never mention this, you want to know what your knuckles are doing. Extend the zero knuckle to the first knuckle, but notice I'm curving in the first to the second knuckle, so I have a bit of a fish hook. That's so you actually have enough distance to go 2 strings down, because that's how formulaic this is. You always want to pop the octave. 2 strings down, and, well, your left hand is doing the 2 frets up. You want to memorize those 2 things, and, like I said, there it is. So, instead of playing air bass, I'll demonstrate on it in a moment. You're just going up the same scale that we actually played for Feel Good Inc. Just notice the tuning at the top. Always check, or your ears will tell you because it just won't sound correct. E, A, D, and G, you should know your Eddie 8 Dynamite goodbye by now. But if you got, well, B and an E string, you can split up the goodbye and add the Eddie again. Slap, slap, pop, slap, 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 pop, slap, slap, pop. We do have some triplet rhythms, but again, just use your ears. I prefer the Indian rhythm syllables for triplets. Tuck-a-dee, 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 tuck-a-dee. Though, you use 1 and 2 and for your 8th notes, because I'm an abomination for rhythm speakings, because I had so many different music schools throughout my life. 1 and 2 and tuck-a-dee, tuck-a-dee, 1 and 2 and tuck-a-dee, tuck-a-dee, 1 and 2 and triplet, triplet. And it is more swung than that, because guess who originally wrote this song? Because it's a cover. It's Stevie Wonder. Guess who he learned music from? All this swing, jazz, and a little bit of those, well, no, and blues artists, who came before him. And they were swinging with the ride cymbal. They were making it dance. We used to dance, and we used to get paid money for playing dances. That's what my Nepo baby teachers did. But again, not naming names. Let's take a look now further. A lot of same things, just with some variation. I don't really feel like talking about this one too much main thing. I just wanted to get you started on slap. It's up to you if you really want to learn the rest of this one. In fact, I'll take a moment, talk about Rocksmith for a second. I'll plug a video game. I don't care. I'm not getting paid, though. Feel free to sponsor me, even the new one. I'll try it out. I just, well, have paid for the PS3 original version, and then I bought it again on PC, and then I modded it all to heck. Go ahead, Google Rocksmith. I'd pull it up, but again, I don't want to get sued. There's a new edition, Rocksmith Plus. Unless they give it to me for free, don't buy it. I guarantee there's a used game store with a copy of it. Buy the 2014 edition. The reason you want the 2014, it's got the bass DLC, because you want to maybe practice your bass later. But guess what? Even if you don't have a bass, you can learn the bass lines because it will just read your guitar and drop it down an octave for you. How cool is that? So again, no reason you shouldn't be video gaming, because it's also practicing. But I always practice in front of a TV anyways, because I'm a bad student, and I get bored. But I practice for several hours. I'm allowed. And, well, I've done my time in the prison. Let's take a look one more time. Well, you gotta learn to slap. As we said, rotate the doorknob give it a nice hitchhiker thumb. Make sure somebody actually wants to pick you up on the road. Slap into the string that you need. I'll grab the bass real quick. Make sure I don't overlap the cables. No, it hates the bass guitar. Again, might cut that out because you did not see any of that. So, loopers are always funny. Good to have them. I'll make another video with that on its own because it does deserve it. Trying to teach you to slap in one of these videos, kind of silly. Maybe we are trying to go for time. I do like my ad revenue. And, well, I already told you to create an octave on the bass. That 002 at the beginning, if I scroll back up, that's what we call our octave. And I didn't even say it yet, but an octave also means the same exact note you just played higher up. E, E. Though I just said the same ones. Well, let's see if this will go through. Might edit it out if it's too loud, but... Can't copyright a MIDI. It just sounds bad. But you get the point. Oh, 02, oh, triple it, oh, 02, oh, tuck it, tuck it. Ah, a little fill instead, but don't worry about that. Unless you want to. But you get the gist. And slide it up. 002, the guitar's a graph. Just move it up your x-axis, or rather, x-axis. Hard to speak after 30 minutes. We got 3, 3, 5, 5, 5, 7. I know you got eyeballs, you got a brain. That's called a pattern. But feel free to rewatch that all again. Give me some more ad revenue, and, well, let's just move on to the next song. Definitely watch the music video for this one. Let's take a look. The Distance. Couple other songs, but it's a great metaphor no matter what. We always want to go it, especially when practicing. A little bit of a rest at first. Double O's.
Reluctantly crouched.
If it comes through, we'll listen to it again, but just first time.
Engines.
You notice it's the same thing over and over and over again. But that's called a groove.
Churning and burning.
Keep it
They yearn for the
very
cup.
Afro-Cuban of them.
And muscle for
And if that's too loud, I don't want to get cut off. But again, I was saying, that's actually very Afro-Cuban. I might bring up my time in the Afro-Cuban ensembles, but they were my favorite because it's a nice, fun, easy paycheck. You just learn one cool-sounding bass line, rinse and repeat, let everyone take a solo or sing their beautiful poetry, because maybe it's not always about the instrumentalist. Maybe it is about the lyricist from time to time. Maybe it's about the dancers. I like those concerts the most. But, again, finally, a little bit new and a little bit of something old. You knew what I meant? 5, 6, 7. Looks like 7, 8, 9. 6 is very afraid because now we're playing funk music. One more listen.
engines pumping and thumping in time.
16th notes will definitely give you the groove. You don't need to listen to Teen Town by Jaco Pastorius. I'll put a little clip right here. Pretty 70s, pretty dated, and, well, again, you don't need to listen to that. You don't need to learn that. You don't even need to play fretless. But if you did like it, go ahead, yes, do learn it. The whole point is to learn what you like. You might even be noticing, look at that URL. Please give me money. I'll take it for free, because I'm already writing it off on my taxes. Ultimate Guitar Pro, Songster is another one. Even YouTube University. I bet there's plenty of tabs on there, but I know a lot of you cats probably like TikTok. As long as you got some way to look up the tab, or if you know the sheet music, even better. But guess what? You're probably going to find the tab more often. So, whatever you want to play, just look it up.
Engines pumping and thumping in time. The green light flashes, the flags go up. Churning and burning, they yearn.
I see a lot of zeros on that E string. Anybody want to guess what scale this one uses? Oh my goodness, we're back to the E minor once more. Feel good, Inc? Come as you are. I didn't even mention that because we took it up the octave, but if we played the bass line down low, 0, 0, 1, 2, te-te-te-do, the distance, it's all the same. So, again, let me check that script, because I think I made this one a little bit longer. Oh yeah, we have technically octaves too. That's the 7th fret on the A string if you're looking at it, but that's why I do like the bass clef. Notice we go high E, or rather the middle E, you could interpret that as, to the low E, E to E. And if I was tabbing this out, as I might do differently in the playthrough down below, don't forget to watch that, link right there. We have 5, 6, 7, 0, walk up, octave, and we're using the E minor scale. Same thing we've been playing since the jump. That's why I put this list together. And that's why every single one of these bands has earned a Grammy too. So again, write your own tunes. And like we said, you don't need Jaco Pastorius to teach you how to play 16th notes. But again, you can think that is a way to enhance your funk formula besides just playing simple octaves. Bombadang, you can go doodle-dum, and bang bang. That's probably what the drummer's gonna do on the snare drum. Probably what he heard first, because most people start with a drum loop, and if you've probably written your own songs, I bet you probably also go through the sound files and find one that looks cool. So again, start with whatever. Oh yeah, well I had a little tangent about why Jaco Pastorius was hated by his fellow band leader and Weather Report Joe Zawinul. But again, it might be controversial, but I'll just put it like this. If you're ever confused why the people in Weather Report actually hated Jaco Pastorius, or at least the band leader did, it's because when you actually play jazz for a long amount of time and you actually have ears, not to sound elitist to that level, but you kind of realize the flaws in his playing and really kind of the language too. Not to say that his language is not spectacular and better than 99% of most, but when compared to an actual melodist, Jaco may have been compensating. Again, you know, that's kind of sad it took him 9 years to play Donnelly like that. I feel like NHOP, you know, if you don't know who NHOP is, go ahead and Google that. I might put a little clip right there. Think of him as the original Jaco Pastorius, and he did it on a real bass. Not a cheater one. He did it on the real one, and he did it faster, and he played with Joe Pass. Double basses typically get it done better, except in the modern age. Most cats I run into who play the double bass are just Nepo babies still kicking around from their music programs and could never swing even a quarter as I could. But again, that's why they went to Cap. We got all the information we just went over, the walk-ups, but now with some, well, specific rhythms. It's all about the 16th notes, and notice there's some space in between. If it sounds funky, it is funky, just sing it. You don't really have to even write it out. Again, I doubt he even wrote it out. He probably just played it on the bass and went, hey, that sounds pretty cool. Jaco was just always upset. Oh yeah, oh man, we'll cut this, we'll come back. Moving on.
Mama by MCR.
Take a look at the tab in front of you. Notice there's no numbers to start. I see blocks and 8s. Those are called arrests, ladies and gentlemen. It's the most underrated skill we can have, sitting there and counting. You have to be able to listen to all these other guys. Apparently there's
20 rhythm guitars, 20 additional guitars, 20 piano, 20 vibraphones, a violin, a string, pizzicato section, 2 accordions, bass, and drums.
You probably don't need a bass player at that point. But here we are. They just know when to play it. Or rather, when to save us for the right moments. We come in after verse 1 when, well, from my legs down to my tum, or whatever the heck he's saying right there. This is an emo kid classic. You don't have to even be one of those youngsters to appreciate it, because I think it's just a really funny and enjoyable song. Again, it kind of has that irony, or that ironic twist of punk rock flavor, because it's kind of trying to be gypsy, as you could hear the rhythm of the guitar and the bass. But most importantly, what makes it that gypsy sound is that O2. O2. We learned what octaves are, but again, your bread and butter as the bass player. Besides that, well, you can think of this as the gypsy bass line, or also the country bass line, but I'm not going to make you play country, though MCR is pretty cool. We're going to go root 5th. Root's just the name for the first note, because that's going to sound the most stable like a tree, and the 5th is always, well, you can think frets up. If we put, or rather, 7 frets up. My apologies. 7 frets up. Editor, cut that, bleep it out. That's worse than a curse word. 5th is always 7 frets up from the root note. You don't have to go 0 to 7. You can put that 7 on the string below. You can think 1 string down and 2 frets up gives you the 5th instead. That's what we call, well, an interval. Music Theory 101, ladies and gentlemen, it's not that hard. If you are an emo kid, this song It's a deep cut. Some might say a banger. And, well, it's a you-know. Everyone enjoys the lead singer, Gerard Way, but I do actually like Mikey Way a little bit more, because he is a solid bass player for this reason. He earns a paycheck, and then he gets out of there. It's called getting your bag. Can't beat that. And he has a lot of cool signature basses. I like his paint jobs. Before my beard gets too out of hand, check out his comic books. Art influences other art, and guess what? All of his comic books are about musicians. So if you want to hear good stories that you might, well, write your own sad songs to or be inspired by, check out Electric Century or his DC comic work, Collapser. They're both fantastic and worth buying on Amazon, adding it to your own collection, as the green screen might, clip out and show the comic books behind. Back to the actual song, we now learned what a fifth interval is, 7 frets up from the root note, or 1 string down and 2 frets up, gypsy, country, whatever bass line you want to write, it's kind of determined by the drummer. Ooh. I had another tangent, but let's double check, and... well, notice the quarter notes on the bass drum. Root, fifth, bass, bass. The job of the drummer is to enhance our bass line, and he's playing those bass notes with us. You can also think about that as vice versa. It all depends on who wants to take the most credit for doing the most. But that's all the main takeaway is. I just kind of wanted to give you also a nice little emo kid break right there. And like I said, resting is the most important thing. But don't worry, we're almost at the end. Hopefully you have a beverage as we make our way towards the finish line. Just a little reminder, as you noticed, the easiest thing to do when playing a song is actually to get lost. So again, another reminder, if you do anything for 2 to 5 minutes straight, as most songs are, probably gonna lose track of time, or get pretty fatigued. Imagine if you just busted out a 5-minute plank. Probably wouldn't be thinking about your homework assignment or tomorrow's dinner. But, try to practice 30 minutes a day, so when you go to plank for 5 minutes, well, you don't immediately fall to the floor after 10 seconds.